First Contact Protocol. High Admiral Vectril of the Krexthar Observation Fleet stood motionless in the command center of the Starweaver, his crystalline sensory appendages gleaming under the soft bioluminescent lighting. A holographic display before him showed a seemingly unremarkable planet, the third world of an ordinary yellow star. Yet something about this discovery made his crystalline structures vibrate with an unfamiliar resonance. "Status report," he commanded, his thoughts carried through the ship's neural network to his crew. "The planet shows all the expected markers of a Type 1 civilization." "Admiral," responded Science Director Melera, her own crystal formations pulsing with transmitted data. "Primitive satellite network, widespread fossil fuel usage, basic space presence limited to their orbital region. Their most advanced computing systems appear to use silicon-based processors, and their energy grid relies primarily on nuclear fission and renewable sources." Vectril's sensory crystals shifted through various wavelengths as he absorbed the information. This was the seventh planetary system the Krexthar had investigated in their current expansion wave, and like the others, it seemed right for technological uplift under their benevolent guidance. The Krexthar Collective had performed this operation countless times, find developing civilizations, guide their development, and eventually incorporate them into their crystal-based society. But something felt different this time. "Deploy the observation matrices," Vectril ordered. "Standard protocol. Let's build a complete picture before we make contact." Dozens of crystalline probes detached from the Starweaver's hull, their transparent forms nearly invisible as they descended toward Earth's atmosphere. Each was a marvel of Krexthar engineering, capable of passing through any known detection system of a Type 1 civilization. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Zar'xian stared at her quantum entanglement display with growing excitement. After 15 years of working for the Earth Defense Initiative's Deception Division, she was about to witness their planning pay off. "Contact confirmed," she announced to the facility's command center. "Quantum signatures match the profiles we've been gathering. Definitely not the Zar'xians or the Mirage. New players." Director James Martinez nodded, his dark eyes fixed on the main display showing real-time tracking of the alien probes. "How's our surface presentation holding up?" "Perfect," Sarah replied, switching to a different display. "All deep tech installations are running dark. Surface infrastructure is maintaining late industrial age appearances. Quantum masking fields are operating at full capacity. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see." The facility, despite being nearly a kilometer beneath the ocean floor, was one of the most advanced command centers on Earth. Its true power source, a controlled quantum singularity, was hidden behind layers of technological deception that made it appear to be running on standard nuclear power. Similar facilities existed beneath every major city, inside mountains, and deep under the polar ice caps, all carefully concealed from orbital observation. Humanity had learned long ago that they weren't alone in the universe. Rather than announce this knowledge, they had chosen a different path. Earth maintained a carefully crafted appearance of a developing civilization, while secretly preparing for the day when contact would become inevitable. That day had arrived. In low Earth orbit, one of the crystalline probes passed near what appeared to be a weather satellite. The probe's sensors recorded standard radio transmissions and basic meteorological data collection, exactly what would be expected from a Type 1 civilization's orbital technology. What it failed to detect was the quantum processing core hidden within the satellite's ordinary-looking frame, analyzing every aspect of the probe's technology. Back on the Starweaver, Vectril received the first detailed reports from his observation matrices. Their military capabilities are fragmented into national units. Tactical Analyst Korvik reported, their crystals flickering with data streams. Primary weapon systems use chemical propellants and basic guided projectiles. Space forces are minimal, a small orbital station and a handful of primitive rockets. Social analysis shows multiple competing government systems, added cultural specialist Tinera. Their global communication network is primitive but functional, primarily used for entertainment and basic information exchange. No signs of unified planetary governance. Vectral's sensory apparatus tingled with satisfaction. Everything pointed to a typical pre-contact civilization, following the expected development patterns they had seen countless times before. Yet that strange resonance persisted in his crystals, a discord he couldn't quite identify. "Begin Phase 2 observation," he commanded. "Deploy deep scanning matrices." In her underwater command center, Zar'xian watched the aliens begin their second wave of surveillance. "Right on schedule," she murmured. "They're following standard first contact protocols, almost exactly like our predictive model suggested." Director Martinez allowed himself a small smile. 15 years of studying their probe patterns around other worlds is paying off. "Are the surface teams ready?" Sarah nodded, bringing up a global display showing hundreds of green status indicators. All masking stations are operational. Deep tech remains undetectable. Surface activities are maintaining expected patterns. She paused, checking another reading. "They're starting atmospheric analysis. Should we let them detect the fabricated pollution levels?" "Proceed as planned," Martins confirmed. "Let them think we're still heavily dependent on fossil fuels. The more primitive they think we are, the better our position when the time comes." The Earth Defense Initiative had spent decades preparing for this moment. Every visible sign of human civilization had been carefully crafted to present an image of a developing world. Power plants releasing controlled amounts of harmless particles that mimicked industrial pollution, vehicles apparently running on fossil fuels while actually powered by zero-point energy, and military bases displaying aircraft that looked primitive but contained technology far beyond what the aliens would expect. In orbit, the crystalline probes continued their silent observation, recording everything they saw, while missing everything that mattered. They watched highways filled with seemingly fossil fuel-powered vehicles, cities apparently dependent on visible power lines, and military bases housing what appeared to be primitive jets and missiles. Vectral reviewed the incoming data with growing confidence. "This world will make an excellent addition to the collective," he declared. "Their technology level is perfect for guided development. Begin preparing the contact protocols." As the alien commander made his plans, Zar'xian sent a coded quantum transmission to facilities hidden across the globe. The message was simple. "First contact protocol is now active. Maintain deception. Stand by for Phase 2. Humanity's greatest performance was about to begin, and their audience had no idea they were watching a carefully choreographed show. The real question wasn't whether Earth could handle first contact. It was whether the aliens were prepared for what they would discover when humanity finally revealed its true face. The game of deception had begun, and both sides were playing for keeps. Smoke and mirrors. The rising sun painted Shanghai's skyline in hues of orange and gold, its rays reflecting off skyscrapers that seemed to exemplify humanity's current technological level. Inside one of those buildings, in what appeared to be a typical office, Dr. Lai Wei watched a crystalline probe drift past his window. "Beautiful architecture, isn't it?" he said to the apparent coffee machine on his desk. The device, actually a quantum-encrypted communication terminal, transmitted his words to the underwater facility, where Zar'xian was coordinating global observations. "They're particularly interested in your building today," Sarah replied through his neural implant. "The probe has passed by 3 times now. Our analysis suggests they're trying to understand our power distribution systems." Wei smiled, taking a sip from his empty cup for the benefit of any watching eyes. The Shanghai Financial Tower was one of Earth's masterpieces of deception. While its exterior showed standard power lines, air conditioning units, and communications arrays, the building's true systems ran on zero-point energy and quantum state materials that were completely invisible to conventional scanning. "How's our power signature looking?" he asked, pretending to type on his primitive-looking computer. "Perfect," Sarah confirmed. "They're seeing exactly what we want. A typical high-rise running on a mix of grid power and solar panels. No hint of the quantum core beneath your feet or the temporal stabilization field disguising its emissions. On the Starweaver, Science Director Melera's crystalline formations flickered with confusion as she reviewed the latest data from Earth. "Admiral, I'm detecting some unusual patterns in their global energy consumption." Vectril moved his sensory apparatus toward her station. "Explain." "Their power usage follows expected patterns for their technology level. But," she paused, her crystals shifting through analysis patterns, "there are microscopic fluctuations in their electromagnetic field that don't match any known industrial process." "Could it be a natural phenomenon?" Vectril asked. "Possibly," Melera responded, but her crystalline resonance betrayed uncertainty. "I recommend deploying our deep scan matrices to investigate further." In the Nevada desert, what appeared to be an abandoned gas station shimmered slightly in the heat. Inside, Colonel Maya Rodriguez watched multiple holographic displays showing the movements of every crystalline probe in North America. Her team had spent years practicing for this moment, maintaining the elaborate charade that would convince alien observers they were seeing the typical developing world. "They're launching their deep scan matrices," she announced to her global command network. "All stations, initiate Protocol Mirage." Across the planet, hidden quantum generators began emitting carefully calibrated interference patterns designed to mask Earth's true technological signatures while presenting false ones that matched alien expectations. The deception went far beyond simple cloaking. It was a planet-wide performance of technological theater. In orbit, the new scanning matrices deployed by the Crexstar spread out in a complex geometric pattern. These were their most sophisticated observation tools, capable of detecting energy signatures that most civilizations didn't even know existed. As they began their scan, the Earth below them continued its carefully choreographed dance. Energy patterns consistent with early fusion experimentation detected in several locations, reported Tactical Analyst Korvek. Their attempts appear crude but promising. What the aliens saw as failed fusion experiments were actually carefully controlled quantum field manipulations designed to hide the real fusion reactors that had been powering human civilization for decades. In the Pacific facility, Zar'xian watched the aliens' scanning patterns with professional admiration. "They're thorough," she commented to Director Martinez. "Their scan patterns are more sophisticated than anything we've encountered before." Martinez nodded, studying the complex three-dimensional display showing global deception operations. "Are our countermeasures holding?" "Perfectly," Sarah replied. "The quantum masking fields are adapting to their scans in real time. Every probe sees exactly what our predictive models suggested they should see. No more, no less." The deception wasn't limited to technology. In military bases across the globe, soldiers performed exercises with seemingly primitive weapons, tanks, jets, and missiles that appeared to be at the expected technology level for a Type 1 civilization. Hidden beneath this visible military force was Earth's real defense network, quantum-linked combat systems, temporal phase weapons, and consciousness-transferred drone operators. In London, what looked like a routine subway maintenance operation was actually the installation of new quantum field generators. In Moscow, apparent traffic control satellites were coordinating the global network of deception. In Buenos Aires, a seemingly ordinary weather research station was analyzing alien scanning patterns and adjusting Earth's technological masquerade in real time. Vectril's sensory crystals vibrated with satisfaction as he reviewed the latest reports. "Their development trajectory is precisely what we would expect," he declared to his command staff. "Their primitive fusion experiments show promise, their quantum mechanics theories are in early stages, and their space program is taking its first tentative steps beyond their orbital region." "Should we begin preparing contact protocols?" asked cultural specialist Tinera. "Not yet," Vectril decided. "Continue observation for another planetary rotation. I want to be certain we understand their defense capabilities thoroughly before we reveal ourselves." In her underwater command center, Zar'xian allowed herself a small smile as she intercepted this communication. Earth's quantum decryption systems had broken the aliens' crystalline communication codes within hours of their arrival, though they were carefully avoiding any action that would reveal this capability. "They're still convinced by our performance," she reported to the Global Command Network. "But they're planning to step up their observation of our military capabilities." "Perfect," Director Martinez replied. "Alert all defense installations. It's time to give our visitors another carefully choreographed show of primitive military might." As night fell over Asia, Y watched another crystalline probe drift past his window. The aliens thought they were secretly observing a primitive civilization, unaware that every move they made was being monitored, analyzed, and countered by the very beings they thought they were studying. The greatest deception in human history continued, a planet-wide performance of smoke and mirrors, leading the aliens exactly where humanity wanted them to go. Every probe they launched, every scan they performed, every conclusion they drew was shaped by Earth's elaborate technological masquerade. The real question wasn't whether humanity could maintain the deception. It was how long they would choose to maintain it before revealing their true capabilities. That moment would come, but not yet. For now, the show would go on, and the aliens would continue to see exactly what humanity wanted them to see. The turning point. The first sign that something was amiss came during what should have been a routine scan of Earth's polar regions. One of the Crextar's crystalline probes, monitoring what appeared to be a primitive weather research station in Antarctica, detected an anomalous energy spike that lasted precisely 2.3 microseconds. Science Director Melera's crystalline structures vibrated with agitation as she analyzed the data. "Admiral, you need to see this," she called to Vectril, her usual formal demeanor cracking slightly. Vectril moved his sensory apparatus over the holographic display. "Show me. The energy signature doesn't match anything in our database," Melera explained, her crystals pulsing with uncertainty. "It's as if something incredibly advanced briefly existed and then vanished." In the Antarctic facility, Dr. Elena Petrov allowed herself a tight smile as she reviewed the sensor logs. The malfunction had gone exactly as planned. Phase 3 initiated, she transmitted to Global Command. "The hook has been baited." Sarah Chen received the transmission in her underwater facility, watching as the aliens' observation patterns began to shift. "They're taking the bait," she confirmed to Director Martinez. "Probe activity increasing around the Antarctic station. They're deploying their more sophisticated scanning arrays." Martinez nodded, his expression grave. "Begin protocol revelation. Subtle discrepancies only. Let's make them work for every discovery." Across Earth, carefully orchestrated accidents began to occur. In Kenya, a supposed solar power station briefly emitted quantum signatures that shouldn't have been possible with visible technology. In Brazil, a military radar installation momentarily projected a ghost image of something that looked suspiciously like a defensive shield grid before returning to normal operations. On the Starweaver, Vectril's command staff was growing increasingly uneasy. "Admiral," Tactical Analyst Korvik reported, their crystalline form flickering with concern, "we're detecting more anomalies. They're scattered across the planet, but they follow a pattern we can't quite decode." "Show me everything," Vectril commanded, his own crystals resonating with a frequency that indicated deep thought. The holographic display filled with markers showing each anomalous reading, each unexplained energy signature, each moment when Earth's primitive facade seemed to flicker. "Could their quantum mechanics experiments be more advanced than we thought?" Tin Era suggested, her cultural analysis protocols struggling to make sense of the discrepancies. "Impossible," Mel Era countered. "The energy requirements alone would be—" "Wait." Her crystals suddenly shifted to a warning frequency. "Admiral, I'm detecting a correlation between these anomalies and their global weather monitoring network." In her London office, Dr. Emma Harrison watched the aliens' increasing probe activity with satisfaction. The weather satellite network had been one of humanity's masterpieces of deception, quantum sensors and temporal monitors disguised as primitive meteorological equipment. Now, they were letting the disguise slip just enough to pique the aliens' curiosity. "They're launching a Class 4 deep scan," she reported through her neural link. "Right on schedule." The Krextar's most sophisticated scanning technology swept across Earth's atmosphere, penetrating what should have been primitive defensive systems with ease. But everywhere they looked, they found more questions than answers. "This can't be right," Melera declared, her crystalline resonance showing clear distress. "Their satellite network. There are gaps in the data. Moments where our scans simply don't register anything at all." Vectral's sensory apparatus shifted through multiple analysis patterns. "Explain." "It's as if parts of their technology simply don't exist when we look at them directly. But that would require—" She paused, her crystals pulsing with disbelief. "That would require quantum masking technology far beyond their civilization level." In the Nevada facility, Colonel Rodriguez watched the aliens' growing confusion with professional satisfaction. "They're starting to see through the first layer," she reported to Global Command. Moving to Stage 2 of Protocol Revelation. Across Earth, more carefully planned malfunctions began to occur. The commercial satellite briefly broadcasted in quantum-encrypted frequencies before returning to normal operation. A suburban power station exhibited temporary signs of zero-point energy manipulation. A civilian aircraft momentarily vanished from all scanning systems before reappearing, as if nothing had happened. "Admiral." Korvek's crystalline form was now pulsing with clear alarm. "We're detecting similar anomalies in their orbital debris field. Some of their space junk. It's not behaving according to normal physical laws." Vectril studied the new data with growing concern. What had seemed like a straightforward observation mission was becoming increasingly complex. Either their scanning systems were malfunctioning on an unprecedented scale, or "Launch Probe Series Omega," he commanded. "Full spectrum analysis. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." In her underwater command center, Zar'xian smiled as she detected the new probe launch. "They're escalating their scans," she announced to the global network. "All stations prepare for Protocol Revelation Stage 3. Let's show them something really interesting." As the new probes descended through Earth's atmosphere, they encountered something that shouldn't have been possible. Quantum field fluctuations that seemed to suggest the presence of technology far beyond Type 1 civilization capabilities. But every time they attempted to focus their scans on these anomalies, they found only primitive technology. "Admiral." Melvera's voice carried a note of genuine fear now. I believe we're being deceived." Vectral's crystalline structures vibrated with a frequency that hadn't been recorded in centuries of Krextar exploration. "Deceived by a primitive species. The inconsistencies are too precise," she explained. "These aren't random anomalies. They're deliberately crafted to draw our attention, to make us look closer." In facilities across Earth, humanity's greatest technological performance was reaching its climax. Each malfunction, each anomaly, each unexplainable reading was another piece in a puzzle that the aliens were only beginning to understand. "They're calling for reinforcements," Zar'xian announced, intercepting the Starweaver's quantum-encrypted transmission to the Krextar home fleet. "Time to move to the final phase." Director Martinez nodded solemnly. "Send the signal. Protocol Revelation final stage begins in 6 hours. Let's show our visitors exactly who they're dealing with." As night fell over Earth, the Krextar observation fleet hung in orbit, their crystalline sensors straining to understand what they were seeing. They had come expecting to find a primitive civilization ready for uplift and guidance. Instead, they were beginning to suspect they had walked into something far more complex and potentially far more dangerous. The question was no longer whether humanity was hiding advanced technology, but just how advanced that technology might be. They were about to find out, and the answer would shake the Krextar collective to its crystalline core. Breaking the masquerade. At exactly 300 UTC, in the depths of her underwater command center, Zar'xian initiated the final phase of humanity's grand deception. Her fingers danced across quantum interface controls as she transmitted a single coded message to facilities worldwide. Revelation Protocol Alpha. Execute. On the Starweaver, Vectrill's crystalline sensors suddenly registered thousands of new energy signatures emerging simultaneously across Earth's surface. The holographic display that had shown a primitive civilization moments before was now alive with readings that shouldn't have been possible. Admiral, Mel-Era's crystal structure was vibrating at frequencies indicating extreme alarm. Multiple quantum field fluctuations detected. They're everywhere. Beneath the Antarctic ice, Elena Petrov watched with satisfaction as the massive doors of humanity's primary defensive installation slid open for the first time in decades. The weather research station, that had drawn the aliens' attention earlier, now transformed before their sensors, quantum masking fields dissolving to reveal a complex of advanced weapon systems and energy generators that dwarfed anything the Krexstar had expected to find. Antarctic Defense Grid online, she reported through the global quantum network, revealing primary systems now. Across the planet, humanity's carefully maintained facade began to crack in precisely calculated ways. In the Sahara Desert, what had appeared to be endless sand dunes rippled and shifted as massive structures emerged from beneath quantum camouflage fields. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, long thought to be a collection of floating debris, shimmered and revealed itself as an advanced monitoring station larger than Manhattan. Multiple subsurface installations detected. Tactical analyst Korvik reported, their crystalline form pulsing with panic, energy signatures consistent with technology far beyond Type 1 civilization capabilities. In orbit, what the Krexstar had dismissed as primitive satellites and space debris suddenly activated. Hundreds of seemingly defunct objects revealed themselves as components of an intricate defensive grid, their quantum signatures now blazing like stars to the aliens' sophisticated sensors. They've had us surrounded since we arrived, cultural specialist Tinera realized, her crystal structures dimming with shock. Everything we've been observing, it was all a performance. In London, Emma Harrison activated her facility's primary systems, watching as the quantum masking field that had hidden the city's true infrastructure for decades finally dropped. The primitive power grid the aliens had been monitoring vanished, replaced by a network of zero-point energy distributors and temporal stabilization nodes. European defense network fully operational, she reported. Quantum shields at maximum capacity. Vectrill watched in stunned disbelief as his tactical display transformed. The primitive civilization they had come to guide was revealing itself to be something else entirely, something far more advanced and far more prepared than anything the Krexstar had encountered in centuries of exploration. Full defensive formation, he commanded, his crystalline resonance betraying his shock. Launch emergency protocols. But as the Krexstar fleet attempted to reposition, they discovered another surprise. Their advanced propulsion systems, capable of manipulating space-time itself, were being held in check by forces they barely understood. In her Nevada facility, Colonel Rodriguez monitored the quantum containment field now surrounding the alien fleet. Spatial lock confirmed, she reported. They're not going anywhere without our permission. The revelation continued to unfold across the planet. In the Mariana Trench, massive underwater facilities powered up, their quantum generators humming to life after decades of dormancy. The Himalayan mountains shed their ancient appearance as defensive installations emerged from within their peaks. The Amazon rainforest rippled as hidden technological marvels revealed themselves beneath its canopy. Sir, Mel-Era's voice was barely a whisper, her crystals almost transparent with fear. I'm detecting temporal manipulation signatures. They have control over localized time fields. In the Pacific facility, Director Martinez watched the aliens' reactions through their decoded communications. They're beginning to understand, he noted to Sarah. Time to show them what we've really been working on. Sarah nodded and initiated the final sequence of revelations. across Earth's surface, in orbit, and even on the Moon, humanity's most advanced technologies began to power up. Quantum computation arrays that made the aliens' crystalline processors look primitive by comparison. Weapon systems that could manipulate the fabric of reality itself. Transportation networks that operated through controlled quantum tunneling. How? Vectril demanded, his crystalline form radiating frequencies of utter disbelief. How did they hide all of this? In what appeared to be a simple office building in Shanghai, Dr. Lai Wei smiled as he activated his facility's primary systems. The entire financial district shimmered as quantum masking fields deactivated, revealing the true nature of the city's infrastructure. What had looked like primitive computer networks and power grids was actually an intricate web of quantum-entangled systems and zero-point energy distribution nodes. Asian defense grid fully operational, he reported. All systems revealing at nominal rates. The Krexstar fleet hung motionless in orbit, surrounded by technology they had never imagined finding on what they had dismissed as a primitive world. Every scan, every analysis, every assumption they had made was being systematically proven wrong as humanity's true capabilities emerged from behind their carefully crafted mask of primitiveness. Admiral, Korvik reported, their crystalline structure nearly transparent with shock. We're detecting quantum signatures from their lunar installations. They're beyond anything in our database. In the underwater command center, Zar'xian watched as humanity's greatest deception reached its culmination. All global defense systems are now revealed, she announced to the worldwide network. Quantum shields at full power, temporal defense grids online, spatial containment fields holding steady. Director Martinez nodded solemnly. Send the message. It's time they understood exactly who they're dealing with. Across every quantum frequency the aliens could monitor, in crystal resonance patterns they could understand, Earth broadcast a single, simple message. Welcome to Earth. Now, shall we discuss this as equals? The masquerade was over. Humanity had revealed its true face, and the galaxy would never be the same. A lesson in humility. The crystalline structures of the Starweaver's bridge pulsed with frequencies indicating extreme distress as High Admiral Vectril faced the holographic projection of Earth's unified command. The humans had dropped all pretense now, their quantum-encrypted transmission cutting through the Krexstar's most sophisticated security protocols as if they were primitive radio waves. You've been watching us for centuries, haven't you? Director Martinez asked, his holographic form standing confident before the alien commander. Not just your species. Others too. All of you thinking we were just another primitive civilization waiting to be uplifted or conquered. Vectril's sensory crystals shifted through patterns of confusion and dawning comprehension. The other scout fleets, the ones that disappeared. Ah, so you know about those. Zar'xian stepped into view, her neural interface now visible as elegant circuitry patterns beneath her skin. Did you never wonder why some of your observation missions never returned? Why certain aggressive species seem to avoid Earth's sector entirely? In the Antarctic facility, Alina Petrov monitored the quantum containment field holding the alien fleet in place. The Krexstar vessels, for all their advanced technology, were trapped within a bubble of controlled spacetime that made their most sophisticated systems seem primitive by comparison. We detected your first probes 300 years ago, Martinez continued. We saw how your collective treated other developing civilizations, how you guided them, shaped them, molded them into what you wanted them to be. We made a different choice. On the Starweaver's bridge, Science Director Mellera's crystals had taken on a pale, almost transparent hue as she processed the implications. The quantum masking technology, the temporal manipulation, you've had these capabilities all along. Longer than you might imagine. Emma Harrison replied from London, her holographic form joining the others. While you watched us burn coal and split atoms, we were perfecting zero-point energy and quantum computing. While you monitored our primitive satellites, we were building a defense network that spans our entire solar system. Vectral's crystalline resonance patterns showed frequencies of both fear and fascination. But why? Why maintain such an elaborate deception? In the Nevada desert, Colonel Rodriguez smiled as she activated another set of previously hidden installations. Across the American Southwest, vast complexes of quantum technology emerged from beneath their sandy camouflage, each installation more advanced than anything the Krexthar had encountered in their centuries of exploration. Because we needed to understand, Martinez explained, not just your technology, but your intentions, your psychology, your society. Every scout fleet that approached Earth taught us more about the species we share this galaxy with. Every observation mission gave us new insights into alien technology and culture. And we learned something interesting, Sarah added, her expression serious. We learned that advanced civilizations tend to make assumptions. They see what they expect to see. Show them primitive technology, and they never look deeper. Show them fossil fuels and basic computers, and they never question whether it might all be a carefully crafted illusion. In orbit, the Krexthar fleet hung motionless as more of Earth's true capabilities were revealed. The Moon's surface rippled as massive installations emerged from quantum camouflage. The asteroid belt came alive with defense platforms and monitoring stations. Even Mars showed signs of advanced human presence, its seemingly barren surface concealing networks of quantum-linked facilities. Your civilization. Vectral's voice carried tones of realization. You're not just more advanced than we thought. You're more advanced than we are. In some ways, Martinez acknowledged. But that's not the point. We're not interested in dominance or conquest. We simply wanted to ensure that when we finally joined the galactic community, we did so on our own terms. Dr. Lai Wei's voice joined the conversation from Shanghai, where the city's true technological face was now fully revealed. Consider this a lesson, Admiral. A lesson about appearances, assumptions, and the danger of underestimating those you consider primitive. On the Starweaver's bridge, Tactical Analyst Korvek's crystals pulsed with urgent data. Admiral, I'm detecting quantum signatures from their Jupiter stations. They've been terraforming the Galilean moons, right under our sensors. And now, Martinez continued, we have a choice to make. Your fleet is currently contained within our defensive grid. Your weapons, impressive as they are, have been neutralized. Your faster-than-light capabilities are blocked by our temporal fields. The question is, what happens next? Vectral's crystalline structures shifted through patterns of deep thought before settling into a frequency of resignation and respect. You could destroy us. We could, Sarah confirmed. But that's not who we are. Instead, we're offering something else. Genuine partnership. Not as mentors and students, not as advanced and primitive, but as equals. Different species with different strengths, working together to build something greater than either of us could achieve alone. In facilities across Earth, humanity's most advanced technology continued to reveal itself. Quantum computers that could process more data in a second than the Krexthar could in a year. Energy systems that drew power from the quantum fabric of space itself. Transportation networks that could bend space-time to their will. Return to your collective, Martinez said. Tell them what you've learned here. Tell them about the civilization that chose to hide its true nature not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Tell them about the species that watched the watchers, that learned from every observer, that prepared for centuries while appearing to stumble through industrial adolescence. Vectral's sensory apparatus pulsed with a new frequency, one of understanding and newfound respect. And if we choose partnership, if we return not as observers but as allies, then you'll find that what you've seen today is only the beginning. Sarah smiled. We've had centuries to prepare, to develop, to advance. But we've done so with a purpose, to ensure that when humanity finally stepped onto the galactic stage, we did so not as supplicants or subjects, but as equals ready to contribute to something greater than ourselves. The quantum containment field surrounding the Krexthar fleet began to dissolve. Earth's defense systems remained active but non-threatening, a demonstration of both capability and restraint. "The choice is yours, Admiral," Martinez concluded. "Return to your collective. Consider our offer. But remember this moment, and remember this lesson. Appearances can be deceiving, and those who assume too much often learn too late that their assumptions were their greatest weakness." As the alien fleet prepared to depart, their crystalline sensors recorded one final image of Earth, not as the primitive world they had come to guide, but as the advanced civilization it had always been, its true face finally revealed to the stars. They had come seeking to uplift what they thought was a developing species, only to discover that humanity had been waiting, watching, and preparing for this moment for centuries. The message they would carry back to their collective was clear. The galaxy was not what they had thought it was, and humanity was no one's primitive civilization to guide. The age of assumption was over. The age of true partnership was about to begin. In her underwater command center, Zar'xian watched the alien fleet depart, their crystalline ships glinting in Earth's sunlight. "Do you think they understood the message?" she asked Martinez. The director smiled. "They understood, and so will others. The galaxy's about to become a very different place. Above them, humanity's quantum defense grid hummed with power, ready to protect Earth's interests across the solar system. The masquerade was over, but humanity's greatest adventures were just beginning.